Howdy PreCal. I just finished making the first video and now we are on to the second video for the very first day of notes. So this is section 1A, functions, and I have already made it a little bit of the way through it, and here we go. So in this function notation, they're saying the function f maps x onto this notation, this idea here to, oh, what happened to my pencil? There we go. 2/3 x plus 6. So what we're going to do is anywhere we see an x, well, so this one, f of 3 means we take that function, and anywhere we saw an x, we now put in a 3. Okay, and so I see 2/3 of 3, so I can think the 3's will cancel out, and so this becomes 2 plus 6. So we'll write 2 plus 6, and this is equal to, so if we might write our final answer, f of 3, 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. Okay, the next one, f of -6, would be equal to 2/3 of whatever that we no longer have x, we're now going to put in something for x. What are we putting in? We're putting in this, -6. And so then this becomes, well, here's how I think through this. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and so now I see a 2 times 2, well, 2 times -2, which is -4. So -4 plus 6. So what do I have? F of -6 is equal to +2. Okay, the next one. Okay, so now this is changing the question. This is changing our situation. A second ago, they gave us the x and asked for the y. Now they're giving us this, or you might say they gave us the input and are asking for the output. Now they're giving you the y. Now they're giving you the output and asking for the input. Okay, so we're trying to find what x value gives us that output value, that y value. Okay, so what I would do is I would recognize that, well, hang on, let's get rid of that. I would see, okay, well, I have an f of x right here. Oh, my pencil's, I did just charge it, you guys. I have this f of x that's equal to this right here. So I'm just going to substitute that out and put in, so 2/3 x plus 6 equals -2. What do I do first? I subtract 6 from both sides. I have 2/3 x equals -8. The best way, so you can think of this as dividing both sides by 2/3, but I think dividing by 2/3 is a little tricky. What I'm going to do is think of, let's multiply by the reciprocal, 3/2. Because when I do, this 3 would cancel with that 3, this 2 would cancel with that 2, and I'm just left with x is equal to, okay, now a minute ago we said, we were simplifying, so 2 goes into 8 4 times. I see a -4 times 3, and I get x is equal to -12. So x equals -12 is a perfect answer. You could also, you might also see f of -12 is equal to -2. I don't know. I think I like this answer better. Okay, f of x equals 8/3. All right, what did we just say f of x was equal to? 2/3 x plus 6 equals 8/3. Oh, you're going to make me work with fractions. All right, I can do it. Actually, you know what we could do is, we're lazy, I mean efficient. I can come through, and as long as I do it to everybody, I can multiply everybody by 3. Notice that'll clear out my denominators. I can rewrite this, and now I have 2x, because this 3, you can't see where I'm pointing. This 3, nope, that didn't work. I don't know. Anyway, that 3's cancel. And then 3 times 6 is 8. Oh, I lost my, I promise I charged it. Something's glitchy. Is equal to, 3 times that is equal to 8. Okay, so now I'm going to subtract 18. Is this the only way to solve that problem? No. Did I think it was a little easier and I wanted to do it this way? Yes. Okay, so 2x is equal to -10. Now I need to divide by both sides by 2. -10 divided by 2 is equal to x equals -5. Super. Okay, now they gave us this lovely little graph, and they're going to ask us different things. So I see here's f and here's g, g of 3. So that means I'm going to count out 1. You know what? You couldn't see that very well. G of 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to come find here at 3. What's my answer? It's this. My y value is 1. Okay, I wrote more than I may have needed to. But g of 3 equals 1. Yeah, let's clear that out, because it's going to just be clutter in a second. The next part, f of 1. Okay, so here is where x equals 1, and we want to come up and find it on f, and it looks to me like that is equal to 4. And then f of -2. Okay, hang on. Let's get rid of the clutter. f of negative 2, here's negative 1, negative 2, and we come down, I see a negative 1 for a y value. Okay, and then the next one is a little bit different. The next one says g of x equals 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 1, 2, oh, I was going the wrong direction. 1, 2, 3. This is the line where y equals 3. Okay, so I want to see where does that line 3 hit my my graph of g. Well, it hits right here. Excuse me. At x equals 4. Is there more? There is more. Yay, we're so lucky. Okay. Okay, f of negative 2 minus g of 2. So what we're going to do is we can evaluate f of negative 2, which is equal to negative 2 squared. Now be really careful. That whole negative 2 has to go in for x and get squared because, and you'll grab a calculator, but if you grab your calculator and type it in wrong, you'll get the wrong answer because this negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, and a negative times a negative is a positive. This is a positive 4. If you write negative 2 squared, this means negative 2 times 2. How many negatives do you see? I just see one of them, and this is a negative 4. So how you write this and how you type it in your calculator, if you can learn this at the beginning of the year, it'll save you a lot of heartache. Because anytime you have a negative and you square it, or raise it to the 4th power, or the 6th power, or the 8th power, whatever, it's going to become positive. If you cube it, what happens there? Negative 2 cubed would be a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2. When you have 3 negatives, it ends up being a negative answer. So it doesn't, you always want to be in the habit of always put the negatives in parentheses before you raise it to any power. But it really matters when it's an even power because you'll be totally wrong. Does you see the difference? 4 is not equal to negative 4. If so, I'll give you negative $4 and you give me $4 back. Just kidding. Okay. Sorry, I think I'm funny, but it's up for debate. Okay, so this becomes a positive 4 minus 1, which is equal to 3. This one, we're looking at g of 2, would be 2 plus 1, which is equal to g of 2. I don't know why I wrote it again that time and not the other one, is equal to 3. So f of negative 2 minus g of 2 means that we have f of negative 2 was 3, minus g of 2 was 3, was 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, find f of x minus 3. So this, what we want to do is I'm going to come along and say, okay, f of x minus 3 is equal to 1 minus 2 times something plus 3 times something squared. So hang on, let me change this. I have a better way to think through this. Okay, so it's basically f of whatever is equal to 1 minus 2 times that whatever plus 3 times that whatever squared. So what is it that we have here? Well, it's an x minus 3. Okay, so now let's clean this mess up. What I'm going to do, the part that is going to take me a second to clean up is this right here. And so I remember that x minus 3 squared is equal to, well, I either remember that it's x minus 3 times x minus 3, which would be x times x is x squared, x times negative 3 is negative 3x, negative 3 times x is negative 3x, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 3. And so then cleaning this up, I get this. I either remember that or I have learned my rule. And a plus or minus b, if I have two terms and I'm squaring it, it gives me a squared plus or minus 2ab plus b squared. And so in this case, if I have x minus 3 squared, I end up with x squared, and here comes that 9 squared over here. Maybe I jumped the gun. And then I multiply them, negative 3 times x, and then I have to double it. So negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x, and then I ended up at the same answer. You can always do this and just grind it out and find all and FOIL and find all those terms, or you can recognize when it's something squared that it always has this pattern. Okay, so where were we? We had a 1. We had a minus. You know what? I'm going to distribute this through. Nope, not yet. I'll do it in a second. Plus 3, and I just said this was x squared minus 6x plus 9. Now I'm going to distribute through. Okay, so what gets distributed through? Notice this is a negative 2 that gets distributed to both of those. This is a positive 3 that gets distributed. Okay, so we have 1 minus 2x, and a negative 2 times a negative 3 is a positive 6. And then I have plus 3x squared. And now I see, well, I wrote 1 distribute, but you know, it goes all, anyway, whatever, sorry. I see a minus 18x, and I see a plus 27. So now we like to write these in order from the largest degree. That's done. And then I have this and this that have an x. So that's minus 20x. And then what do I see with just a constant? I see 27 plus 6 is 33 plus 1 is 34. If I made a mistake, comment down below and tell me nicely that I forgot how to add or something like that. But I think that should be helpful. And let's see. There's 2 piecewise functions. You know what? I'm going to save that for the next video. So like, subscribe, comment, tell me how I can help you be better at math, and go practice. All right, good luck.